years. God told them that I would yet visit and I would give you a child. They waited and waited and waited. They waited until they felt that God was not true to his word. But you see, God is not a man that he will lie. God is not a man that he will turn back on what he has said. Inside of God's word is the power to bring to pass whatever it is that he wants to do. And I believe it is your season. It is your hour to be lifted. It is your moment to be healed. It is your season to be promoted. From wherever you are, it is time to rise up, because God's word is yea and amen. Hallelujah. Glory, 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 glory be to the Lord Almighty. Oh, Father, we are just grateful for tonight. We want to bless the beauty of your name. Oh, what a joy, what a joy, what a joy to be here again this evening. People from all over the world, we want to greet you this evening. You know, before we carry on, want you to do this one good thing. Share this with as many people as you can. Why? Because I know that tonight we are really in for a treat. We are in for a treat, and I know that some awesome things are going to happen. Lord, as I come into your presence today, so permit me to just cruise for a few minutes. We have a very, very wonderful person, a dear child of the living God tonight. And we are just going to have such a glorious time over us. Singing. Oh Lord, this is your praise. This is your praise, Lord. Oh Lord, this is your praise. This is your praise, Lord. If you are there, you can rock with us. Wow, I'm just excited, you know. Your praise. Into your presence. In my heart. It's a praise. Oh, it's my maker. I know I can't do it like that, somebody will do it. Let's just sing it with us. Rejoice. It's singing. Oh Lord, this is your praise. This is your praise, Lord. This is your praise. Oh Lord, this is your praise. This is your praise. This is oh Lord, this is your praise. Praise Lord. Oh Lord, this is your praise. Hallelujah. All right, I'll just have that just played in the background. I'm just really excited tonight. And one more time, I want to say a very good evening to you. I don't know where, I know there are people that are watching from different parts of the world. Like I said, share this with your friends and family. Let them come and join us. Just want to have a wonderful time with my very dear friend, Pastor Wale Adenuga tonight. And we are going to cover a range of things. Many of us may know him as a music maestro. You can know him as a worship leader. But some of us know him in different other ways. I know that he's a man that is extremely gifted, not only in music, even relating with him. He's a man of wisdom, he's a man of depth. He cuts across, even beyond music, that maybe the populace may know him for. And so we are going to be engaging him on all those different things tonight about worship. We're going to be engaging him about what it means to be, to be a songwriter. And then for people that know him also, know that Pastor Wale is so much into charities. He runs some amazing charities that I know of. So I'm going to be asking, because I'm really endeared into charities. We're going to be engaging him on that again tonight. So if you have such inklings as well, you are really going to be blessed tonight. It's going to be refreshing. All right, Seasons Episode 3. Pastor Wale Adenuga. It's so nice to have you with us this evening, Pastor. And I say that not just for saying sake. It's so exciting to have you. I want to really thank you. I know you're extremely busy, but I want to thank you for the privilege of being here this evening. I do not take it for granted. I do not take the relationship for granted. I am I'm excited. All right.
Thank you so much.
Many people, like I said, all over the world know you, perhaps majority know you as a music maestro, know you as a gospel giant by the grace of God. So who is Wale Adenuga? Who is Wale Adenuga?
Well, Wale Adenuga is just, I like to say I'm a husband, I'm a father, husband to one wife, father of one daughter. Like you said, my hands are into many things. A lot of people know me for the music I do. I've been a pastor. I'm a social entrepreneur. I'm a graphic artist. I'm a businessman. So, I think those are the things that, and of course, I'm a child of God. I think that's one of the most important things that anyone can be.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
And I'm referring to Pastor Chris Adeoye.
Now, you would notice, obviously, that it's so amazing. When you meet Pastor Wale, very soft-spoken, amazingly humble. But man, when the man opens up his mouth to sing, the whole place begins to reverberate, So, Pastor, how did it all start? Tell us about, your home bringing. When did you get to know that you could sing? Every one of us sings at home, like I was doing earlier on, like I've been doing all day, yesterday, the day before, rocking to your many songs, rocking in the house, singing to myself, So how did it all start? As in when you actually knew and it was identified that you have a gift of singing.
Okay. So of course, if you grew up, so in our own time, it's not like now where every parent to be so excited that if you have a child now, you want the child to either sing. If he can't sing, he must play football. Or he can play lawn tennis or something. Now, during our own time, those were taboos. You can't go and come back and tell your parent that you know how to sing. So that was the kind of environment I was in. So I knew I could sing, but it never crossed my mind to tell my father that I wanted to sing. So even up until even when I was 20, I wasn't doing any public singing. I think it was when I gave my life to Christ. Yes, it was when I got born again in the university. That's when it all started. And and that's actually the first shot I had at singing, in the fellowship in which I was in Ife, because you went to Ife as well. So that's where it all started, the fellowship that I attended, So that was 1988. Yeah, that was the first time Yes.
Wow, praise God.
Yeah.
Every one of us, we have a beginning, and it's so exciting to know. I know pretty much that, like you said, that you went to Ife, and that was how it all started. So
yes.
what was it like, as in then, on the home front, when you and more also the transition into perhaps that journey to maybe your first sessions, your first album, or were you involved in the choir initially? We
Okay.
just want to get into all those
Oh,
details.
yeah, I understand.
Because, we
Yeah.
have this opportunity to get to know you.
Yeah.
And, obviously we are privileged and we are blessed tonight. I know that perhaps it come about that ledge down. Let us just be blessed
Yeah.
and get to a tidbits into Wale Adenuga behind the scenes.
Okay. Okay. So, I mean, I come from I would say, a fairly large family. My parents have, and we went through a very interesting incident sometime in 1987. Our house was God burnt, which of course led to a song that I wrote today.
Yeah.
So the year after that was 1988, I gave my life to Christ, and my parents couldn't understand what was happening. And during that period, I had a lot of persecution. I mean, I remember I would go for fellowship, and I can't even count how many nights I would sleep in the car. They would lock me out. My father would lock me out and tell me to go back to the fellowship where I'm coming from. So I mean, I can't count how many nights I slept in the car, slept outside. Simply because I went for fellowship.
Wow.
But one thing changed one night. I have 4 brothers and a sister, and all my brothers. I'm sure you probably know Gbenga sings as well. All my brothers at that time used to suffer from convulsion. They would just start convulsing. Wow. And then one day, one of them had a convulsion. At this point in time, I was born again. And once that happens, the whole family just, gets into a frenzy. We start thinking of, okay, how do we get them to the health center and all of that? And, I just went in. I mean, of course, look, I'm even to today, we're still all scared of my dad, because my dad is like a terror. To my brother, and I just started speaking in tongues, and he just calmed down. My father just freaked out. He was like, I mean, he didn't say anything. It was later that my mother said, "Wow, that when they went into my father was." So I think from that day there was this kind of respect, and from then maybe they allowed me to go to fellowship. In fact, there was one particular day I was going to go to Benin for a conference that was hosted, by Bishop Idahosa.
This was in your late teens, early 20s, Pastor?
Oh yeah, I was this I must have been 21.
Wow.
Yeah. So 2021. So I mean, yeah. So I went through school, and so there was that respect. They knew well. I was just going to go in that direction. I went for my youth service. I went to serve in. I was posted to Suleja. My father wanted me to, serve in Lagos, and of course, all of that is out of love. But I just felt in me that's where it was a good thing, because that year of youth service was a period where I knew that God clearly showed me that I was going to be involved, in praise and worship music, not just music, but in praise and worship music specifically. Wow. Because I remember
on your youth service.
Yeah, during my youth service here. Yeah, that 1 year, because I remember that 1 year, I listened to 3 tapes. Of course, we had cassettes then; there were no CDs. I remember I listened to 3 tapes.
Actually.
Yeah, I listened to 3 tapes throughout that year. It was one was Bob Fitz and the Maratha Singers, Maurice Chapman and the Maratha Singers, Terry Clark and the Maratha Singers. Those were the tapes I listened to for that 1 year. And, it was so obvious to me that by the time I left, by the time service was over, that was one area that God wanted me, to things I like to tell people, especially people who are into music, just like pastoring, there's a calling to it. And I remember one day in 88, shortly after I gave my life to Christ, I was just praying in a friend's room. We stayed in quarters because my parents worked in quarters. Worked on campus. So I went to a friend's BQ room just across the road to just pray. And I was there.
Which road was that again, Pastor?
No, we lived on road 12. We lived on road 12.
Road 12.
So I went to a friend's room. You probably might know him because you guys, I don't know if you know Lekon Balogun. He read he read computer. So I was in his room, just praying. And I heard God say to me, says, look, I will teach your voice to sing, but my glory I will share with no one.
Wow.
He said,
within
I will
the
teach your
time of prayer?
Yes, he said, I will teach your hands to write, and my glory I will share with no one. Now, that was 1988, and I remember those words like when a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm humble, I'm simple." I don't really think I'm humble. Maybe you should ask my wife. I mean, it's those words that really just keep me in check, because I know that anything that I may have achieved or anything that I may have done is not really so much of my making. Yes, I have the talent, but the truth is that even that talent is not something that I made happen for myself.
Wow.
So yeah, that's a bit of my story.
Two things from what you have said quickly, Pastor. We have an array of questions here, and we just have to find a way to go through them. But within the things that you say, also, there are just things that I've picked up and I've written down. When you were doing your youth service, and you said you listened to three cassettes, and one of them was Bob. If I'm correct, this Bob Feet later on became a friend of yours?
Yes.
Wow. So, I mean, my question to that really then is it not interesting that some things that we do, not even knowing how, I mean, what the future held, tapes or cassettes, and later on, I mean, you got to know him.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, I can tell you a bit about Bob. I mean, we've gotten so we're so close. I mean, our families are so close. It's unbelievable.
And from that humble beginning of listening at Suleja, I mean, you were just listening as a young man that was, just getting into the Lord. And one of my favorite scriptures, Pastor, the Bible says in Jeremiah 10:23, "It's not the man that walketh to direct his own steps."
Right.
It's amazing what is ahead of us.
Yes.
And that is what this, the inspiration behind seasons.
Yeah.
That is amazing. The season you are in there, from the depths of Suleja and then to Bob Feet. I mean, look at the distance. And in the process of time, you got to know this person.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And that should be an encouragement for people that are listening to us now, and more so the multitude that will still listen later.
Yeah.
That wherever you are now, the season you are now, it's incomparable to the season that the Lord can still bring you into. That's amazing, Pastor.
Absolutely.
That's really, really amazing.
Absolutely.
And the other bit is when you had God say to you that He's going to teach your hand to write. I wish, I mean, this was, a different session completely, and I would love to take you up on that big time. Because one of the greatest things I believe that we need is the voice of God and the ability to hear Him. The hunger and the love for God, and God still speaks. I mean, look at from that time till now, that has kept you in check. That has, I'm sure, encouraged you when you need encouragement to know that the voice of God was the voice of God and is still the voice of God. That to me is really amazing. That is amazing.
Absolutely.
That is just amazing. Wow.
Yes.
So, Pastor, how did your first album happen?
Our first album, first personal album, because while I was serving, I used to be part of a group called Wismo. I'm sure you know a guy in Ife called Wale Adenuga. Probably knew him.
Wale.
Yeah, so Wale.
Wale.
So so we're part of a group, So of course we did some music together. Then of course we all split. He went. Some guys went to America. Some went to Australia.
I know Wale went to
Kenya. No, he went to Kenya. He's based in Kenya right now.
Yes, if I remember.
Kenya.
Years ago.
Yeah. So anyway, so I joined my church, which I was ended up pastoring. I was there from 94. Songs like You and a Worthy Lord, Today It Is You want to call Ogoye. And I mean, this was we just wrote and we just did in church.
Wow.
I mean, we just having fun in church.
Wow.
And people just said, hey, I mean, you guys need to, you know, and reason why that was, why it didn't really mean me then was because of what if, in Ife, right? I mean, there was so much music, especially in the fellowship that I attended, which was Pastor Fellowship. There was so much music. You know, for instance, it was when I realized that people were paid, you know, to play. I mean, to pay an instrumentalist. Now, that I mean, I don't have any problem with that, but that was the first time.
Don't say
no. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I pay people, but that was the first time because see, in our fellowship during that time, you have to believe God for the opportunity to play during the benediction. That God, can you just give me a chance to play?
Wow.
I mean, because trust God. Yeah, because there were too many people. I mean, in the fellowship, in my fellowship, you write a song. So what? I mean, there are people writing 1 million songs per second. Songs are like
water.
Like water. There were too many. So when I came to Lagos, that's why I always tell big cities in Lagos. There are cities like Zaria and Ife, or you know, in the hinterland that people are writing amazing songs.
Wow.
You know, so that was the kind of, you know, background that I had. So I mean, writing those songs didn't really mean, you know, anything to me. But people said, okay, why don't we record this? And you know, we recorded, and then of course I had opportunities. I used to lead worship in camp, redemption camp. So you know, and then I think the biggest one was during Lekki 98. I mean, a lot of those songs we did, and it just, you know, kind of like spread like wildfire. And that's that. Yeah.
Praise God. Praise God. Yeah. And without a doubt, we are sincerely grateful for what God has done with you and through you. It's just amazing. So, Pastor, what is worship? In your experience from when you were thirsting as a young guy, just loving on God, becoming a believer, and the sincerity of the heart to just love God, to where you have reached in the vast opportunities that God has afforded you. What is worship?
I mean, so let me, sometimes in order to define something, you have to define what it is not. So worship isn't about the songs that we sing, you know. So yeah, singing, music is an expression of worship, but that is not what it's all about. A good way, or the best way I like to define worship, is what, you know, Abraham did, and it's actually the first time the word worship was mentioned in the Bible. It talks about him giving up the dearest thing to him. It had to do with him giving up Isaac, his son, that he had waited for so many years. He told his servant, says, I will go, me and the lad will go, we'll worship, and then we'll come back to you. So, you know, worship is, when you understand worship in that context, then you would realize that it's deeper than, you know, just singing songs. And then, you know, one of the things that this moment, this, you know, COVID crisis has done, a lot of people have spoken, you know, on different platforms such as this, is that you would realize that this season has taught us that a lot of the songs that we have sung prior to this moment, we can't even sing them in this moment, you know, because a lot of the songs that we've sung, that we think, oh, our worship, a lot of them just deal with us.
Wow.
You know, God give me this, God give me that. And so the Bible is that
we're in for debt tonight.
And at this wow. And at this point in time, that's not the most important thing. Just at this point in time, is not about God give me a car, God give me a wife. That's at this point in time, it's not on the agenda. Wow. You know. And I found this more.
That's the song now.
we need you, Lord. I'm desperate. I'm desperate for you. I you know. So those are the kind of things, you know. Those are the kind of songs that we need to be singing in this season, and those are the songs that will last for every season. And indeed, worship should be on earth as it is in heaven. Hallelujah. So we now have to ask ourselves that a lot of songs that we're singing on earth, are those the kind of songs that are singing in heaven? I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think I should just leave it at that.
Wow.
Worship is about giving up the dearest things to us. God is always. That's why one of the most profound worship songs is by Matred Man when it says, "I'll bring you more than a song."
Wow.
Because a song in itself is not what you require. You search much deeper within, through the way things appear. I'm coming back to the heart of worship.
Wow.
Very, very
Praise
critical,
God.
yes.
Thank you so much, Pastor. I mean, you've set something up in my spirit. By the grace of God, I've preached different messages from Abraham unto Isaac. But I can't wait to thank God again for this episode and then grab my Bible. Abraham, when he told the two lads, me and the lad are going yonder to worship.
To worship.
That was what he said.
Yes. And that's had to do with giving up the dearest thing to him.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was what he said. So, Pastor, the next question we have for you here is that thank you for that depth and just bringing worship into a different perspective beyond what we think. And the next question we have to ask you, which I believe you've even touched on it, is that there is worship, but is there acceptable worship?
Yeah, I mean, there is. I mean, because even Jesus Christ himself said this. He said, "These people, they worship me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me." There's an upper way it talked about vain worship. So, and then when it talks about us worshiping in truth, so if it means that if there's worship in truth, then it means that there's also worship that is false. If there's vain worship, then I think that just clears it up. I think this generation, I speak to this. If I'd have spoken every time a few concerts and a few meetings that I ministered before the COVID crisis, I always brought it up before I started worshiping, and a lot of people looked at me, and I said, we have right now when we're worshiping, a lot of people. I mean, in worship, you can see people maybe lift up their phones and they're filming themselves, doing worship. And I said, look, and I said to them, look, can you imagine the angels in heaven, maybe lifting up their phones? Number one, they don't need phones anyway, because I mean, a phone is a source for communication. They don't have, you see, in heaven, you don't need phone because as God is thinking, you're getting it. So you don't need communication, and you don't need. I mean, all the apps on that phone are not needed in heaven. Not because heaven is an archaic place, it's because it's more advanced anyway. So, but I said, let's just for
Not that heaven is more advanced. Heaven is more advanced.
It's more advanced. It's more advanced now. It's more advanced. So imagine an angel, taking a phone and taking a selfie, is standing in front of God's presence. Number one, when you can't look at God and say the example I want to give is this. Every time a human being saw an angel, not God though, every time a human being saw an angel in the Bible, go and read it, they fall down on their face. Every time they saw an angel, they fell down on their face. Not a man. And then the angel will now say, bros, stand up. I'm just a messenger. Now that's just an angel.
Wow.
Now think about God.
Come on now.
So if worship is really happening, if we really worship, you will not have that time to be. So it's either what is happening on stage is not serious, or you yourself you're not serious. That's the way.
Wow.
That's the way I put it up there.
So, Pastor, what in your opinion? I mean, what you just said now, that the stuff, I mean, the things you were telling people pre-COVID-19 was just really apt. And I mean, you didn't know this was coming, and yet God was speaking through you to be nudging people about perhaps the seriousness of worship. Because the next thing we're going to ask you is, what is, you've been around. I mean, if by the grace of God, I've known you since pretty much 2005. It wasn't yesterday. It's been quite a while.
Yeah.
I mean, well, we've known from Ife, but somehow maybe because you were a pastor, some of us
I
were.
wasn't I wasn't a pastor, I was just
So obviously we've seen. I mean, we come from way back. So I shouldn't even be holding that. Maybe 2005 was official ministry, knowing each other by ministry, known each other from the 80s. You know.
Yeah.
So from your vast experience, and you've traveled wild, led worship, been in conferences. We have been blessed to have been privileged to host you several times.
Mm.
What would you say is the state of worship in today's world?
Mm.
I mean, we have church, and by the grace of God, also you have been privileged to be a worship leader. You were a worship leader in your local assembly
Yes.
Jubilee for 30
Yes.
years. Then you were a lead pastor for 8 years, if I'm correct.
Yes. Yes.
So what would you say is the state of worship in today's church?
Mm.
Do we really
Yeah.
understand? I mean, we put it on program, praise and worship, 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yes.
Announcement, 3 minutes. Word,
Yeah.
40 minutes.
Yeah.
And all that. Do we really
Yeah.
understand the place of worship?
Mm. Well, the truth of the matter, Pastor Chris, is that it's some people understand, some people don't understand. Some people, so you can't, it's not possible to give a general answer and say, oh, we have a pass mark here and we don't have a pass mark there. But what I just know is that, and I was listening to clips of an interview that Pastor Kojo Imade had with Pastor Adeboye a couple of days ago. And then, he just said that one of his own concerns was the seeming loss of reverence, for God. And that really is the core of worship. It's because if there's no reverence, then there's no worship, So that's I would like to just echo that as well, that there's that loss of reverence, which actually ties into what I just said earlier on about, for instance, taking selfies, doing worship, The music is certainly better, there's a lot more excellence and all of that. But see, we have to, and I think that's what this period has helped us to understand. One of the jokes I crack with pastors, and I'm able to do that because I've been a pastor and I'm also a worship leader. One of the jokes I crack with worship leaders guys, you know all that drama that we do when we get on stage. Oh, come on, shout. I said, okay, who are you shouting at now?
Come on.
If I who are you shouting at now? Wow. Because you can even if you are even if you've gone to church to record the worship and you're saying, come on, lift up. In that place where you're telling us, oh, come on, I can change the channel, and you don't know. That is where this whole thing. So you find out that, I mean, I had a mentoring event like 3 weeks ago with some, with worship leaders. It was just a private thing. So I had Noah Robinson, Nathaniel, and a couple of
I saw
that. Yeah.
Work of that. Yeah.
Well, so there was a guy from Port Harcourt. He said, look, during this COVID thing, he went to church to go and record worship sessions for the next 3 to 4 weeks for worship. And that he was the only one there. I guess he can play keyboards, maybe like Evans, just play keyboards and sing at the same time. So it was just him and the sound engineer that were there. And that as he was leading worship, God's presence filled that place. It was unbelievable.
Wow.
So, as I thought about that, I wrote about it. I did a post. As I thought about it next, I said, the truth of the matter is that we've deluded ourselves to think that God needs people to move. But the truth of the matter is that God moved before he created human beings.
Come on.
God moved before he created human beings. I mean, the Spirit of God was there at the impulse of God's word. The Spirit of God moved. So let's not start thinking that, I need 50,000 people. That's when the Spirit will move. No. The Spirit has been moving before human beings were created.
Wow.
So I really think that this whole season will force all of us to really think, really go back. I just hope that the lessons will not be lost, so that when I get on stage, whenever that is, to lead 50 people or 100 people, my focus will be mainly 100 people or the 50 people or the 1,000 people that I'm leading.
Wow.
So that's one of my own greatest lessons.
Amen. Amen. Thank you for that, Pastor. I say to people that I'm just grateful to God always grateful to God for memory. I have several memories of the time that we have spent together. It will amaze you because I'm about to share one with you that you may not remember. Some years ago, we were fellowship. You came around. I can't remember which particular conference it was that you came to be a blessing to us on, with the many times that you have been. And you invited some guys from the States to a conference in Nigeria, and that you yourself and your crew had been, just waiting on the Lord, praying and just believing God, which is awesome to do. And here were these guys, perhaps the day prior to the, if I'm getting it right, the day prior to the conference, and you went to see them and they were just eating and enjoying themselves. And on the day of the conference, the Spirit of the Lord came down so much. I'm not sure if you remember that story. I'm just tying it into just the true heart of worship.
Yes.
And what we think it to be, or what we presume it to be.
Yeah.
Because everybody will we will have people out there that will look at some people would say that, is this person truly worshiping God? Is that person truly worshiping God? But there's just there's a heart of worship also, like you've said, in your teenage years into your young adulthood. And I feel that is a place that we need to not joke with in terms of the heart that goes out to God in worship.
Yes.
So this next question we have for you, Pastor, the question is, a thirsty worship leader says they have experienced struggle in how they bring worship to the forefront in church with the headship of the church. And so, you've been a worship leader, you've been a pastor. How do we, there are people that are working that perhaps are into the music ministry, serving in church, and all that, and that go through things like that. And you mentioned it also silently earlier on that some people understand, because we were asking about the place of worship, and you said that some people don't understand. Maybe some people perhaps don't understand as such. So what would you say to such people that are serving, trying to make it happen with worship, and all that, but on the other side, it's not understood as such from perhaps leadership?
That's an unfortunate situation. So let me speak to both. First of all, from the pastor's side, the pastor is, I always tell people that pastors are the main, let me put it this way, is the senior worship leader in the church.
Wow.
The worship life of the church rises and falls, with the pastor's disposition to worship.
Wow.
And so you see that I know you find worship important, and that's why there are a lot of decisions that you made in the past which you and I are privy to.
And thank you for being part of our great journey. Thank you.
No problem. There are just some pastors who don't.
I got to know Evans Ogboyi through Pastor Wale, and many other things that he did. We can't appreciate. We can't write the story.
We thank God. We thank God. So there are some pastors who don't get it. They don't think that worship is important.
Wow.
They don't just think it's important. Just, well, you guys just make your noise when you finish call me. And the truth of the matter is that the people will always read the importance of worship from the body language of the pastor. That's just the truth. If the pastor doesn't think it's important, maybe the pastor only shows up when it's time for the word. Well, that's why you see a lot of people who come late to church, because they know that in any case, pastor is not going to come out until the time for the word. Even the way the pastor celebrates the choir.
Wow.
So let me give an example. I can say this to you. You've pushed, for instance, you pushed your choir, you pushed Evans, you pushed the LFC choir. Probably I mean, this is my guess. You didn't mind them to be more prominent than you, if you get what I mean. You get what I'm saying? You know, but a lot of people are not, a lot of pastors are not secure with that. My former pastor was, I mean, my former pastor was so secure that he would tell me that, Wale, look, I'm telling you this is something that happened like 20 years ago. He would tell me, Wale, you know, they know you, they don't know me, so follow me. When you get there, I know the door will open because of you. Just tell them I'm your pastor. So, you know, that's somebody that is absolutely secure in his calling. So we have to have pastors who are secure, who will be able, you know, people talk about leadership, but I also believe that leadership sometimes, you know, leadership sometimes is not all the time from the front. Sometimes you lead from the back, you know, just you're staying at the back, you know, pushing, because some people don't believe in themselves, but, you know, pushing this guy forward. No, you know, you can do it, 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 you know, and then you push it. And that's what you've done probably with Evans and, you know, and the choir and all that. So,
what you
so
said
pastors,
now,
yeah.
Please go on, Pastor, please go on.
Yes, so pastors have to get to that point. Now, that's for the pastor. Because they have to realize that there's some things that worship can do. You see, pastors always think that, and I'm saying this now because I've been a pastor, and so I can say it. You know, pastors can think, oh, you know, it's the word that is the most important thing. And this is what I always say to people. When sometimes, and I've been in services where worship is led, and I'm telling you, you'll be a stupid pastor to preach a word.
Wow.
I'm sure you've been in that kind of service before,
sir.
where the worship is so intense. You prepared all night, and you know that there is God has said God has done everything He wants to do. No, you do just close the service, take the offering, and go home. You know, and the example is in the Bible. The priest offered sacrifices, the glory of the Lord filled the sanctuary. The order of service, they couldn't find it, and that was the end. So pastors need to be sensitive to that, you know. Now, for the worship leaders, sometimes a lot of problem with worship leaders is, you know, the humility and the simplicity, and also being understand that, look, the pastor is the pastor. I can't be dragged. Look, this is what I tell worship leaders. Even, you know, when we started this thing, you were talking about, oh, my voice is not great. Let me tell you the truth, Pastor Chris. When you stand on that altar or that pulpit to lead worship, no matter how great purist voice is, no matter how great Chris, what's his name? Evans. When you lead a song, chances are that the way the people will respond to you will be more than the way people will respond to purist or Evans. It's just a natural. I mean, I give this example with Pastor Adeboye. With all due respect,
yes,
my voice is better than Pastor Adeboye's voice. But when Pastor Adeboye, look, he doesn't need to say no. He doesn't even need to say anything. Once he takes that mic, everybody goes on their knees.
Very true.
Do you understand? That wasn't bought in one day. Wow. It doesn't have anything to do with the quality of your voice. That respect was earned. That respect was earned. And so, you know, worship leaders, worship artists, you know, talented people, creative people need to understand that look, there's a leadership here. You understand? And you have to know your place. And you yourself, you have to earn that respect in the course of time. And the Bible also says that wisdom is justified of our children. You know, now I know that there's some pastors that could be, you know, cantankerous, who, like I said, who might be insecure. But I don't believe that that is the case all the time. You know, when you lead worship and there's results, look, pastors would, I mean, we just want this ministry to grow. Do you understand? Let me give an example. Let's look at a church like Hillsong. Who really knows the pastor? Those of us who are from the outside, who are not in Australia, who really knows the pastor of Hillsong?
True.
I could care less. I could care less. We know the music more than the pastor. The question is,
pastor is amazing though. You know that even yesterday I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
I was listening to Jesus So Beautiful, and I was watching their clip on YouTube, and something just, I know the pastor, but subconsciously, my thought went there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing pastor. Yeah. And you know, from I keep You know, from what you've just said now, is in the place of worship, the music ministers and the pastors.
Yes.
And one thing that jumps out to me is the place of self. That
yes.
You know, we need to be extremely careful.
Yes.
That we are mindful, or we are mindful of who God is.
Yes.
You know, Pastor, it's just, I mean, that just jumped at me, because if, like you said, that worship can get to a level that you just feel, what is there else to say? Even if you have 10 days and, you know, what is burning inside of you, like it was, you know, burning in Jeremiah. It is all about God. I will never forget, Pastor, that I went to speak somewhere. I can't remember if it was some years ago. I was privileged to be in Zambia. I'll never forget. It was a crusade.
Okay.
And we came back, and the bishop was magnanimous in just thanking God for me, this young man, quoting scriptures and things like that. You know, I got back to the hotel room and I was just flat on my face. And it was like a bout of, what do we say? Everything we do, is all about him. You know, I didn't tell them a story about my upbringing in Ibadan or Ife.
Yeah.
It was the word of God. You know, so it's all about him. And that's what I've picked up so far in what you've been saying. And that's so refreshing for me. You know, extremely refreshing.
Yeah.
All right, Pastor, we still have quite a lot of stuff here. We have about 20-something questions here, and we are just at night one. You were a worship leader for several years, like we said earlier on. Then you led the church for a number of years. And then at some point, February 2018 was a transition for you, that you stepped down being a lead pastor.
Yes.
Because you believe that you had several other things you have been led to do. That was a major decision. And there are many people that are listening now that have been on crossroads, now, trying to make a decision. God has been speaking to your heart for years about something you needed to do, and you have not been able to make it happen for different things. You know, sometimes, you know, the voice that came to Saul, the people are leaving me about people. What will people say? What will people say?
Yes.
What will people say?
Yes.
You know, as I was preparing for this in the past few days, that was so strong of all these questions that, come to think of it, I know we spoke at that time and all that, but, you know, what was it like for you pre that February time, coming to church? And I'm sure you spoke to several people, prayed yourself and Pastor Kuki. It was a major decision. So please, can you talk about that and just, you know, speak to the heart of people on the crossroad trying to make a decision? How did you do that? It was a major move.
Okay, so I mean, very, very interesting story. Now, of course, like you said, we've known each other for like years. So let's say 5 years up until the time I became pastor. And I mean, I'd always vowed that I'm never going to be a pastor. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that many times, what a lot of people don't know is that as far back as 2002, I was offered an opportunity to actually pastor a church somewhere in Europe. You know, because I mean, I have dual citizenship and I have British passport. So they said, oh, there was some issue somewhere and they wanted me to go. And I mean, the offer was interesting, and I just said, hey, I mean, I don't even need to pray about it. I'm not interested. But 2010,
Pastor, that was a serious one.
There was a changing of God.
We should have this first. We are definitely going to have part 2. You know, you didn't even have to pray about it. I'll write that one down. If it's not for this episode, I'll take you up on that. Please go on, sir.
Okay, so 2010, my pastor, former pastor, had to step down. You know, and then the leadership of my province decided, hey, so what's going to happen? Anyway, so that's how this fell on my laps, because I mean, you kind of needed to just kind of steady. When my former pastor left, bringing somebody else from outside would have, maybe upset things a bit more. So so I stepped in. And if I remember a young boy in church, he was young then, but Debola Williams, he said to me, said, but you've always said that you will never pastor. Is this a special duties role?
Wow. Wow.
So I said, anyway. So when I started pastoring in 2010, I thought, honestly, in my mind, I just thought maybe it would be like a 3 years thing, because I just felt, this is redeemed. They're probably going to transfer you. And at that point, I'm just going to say, look, I'm done. So 3 years ended up being 8 years. Wow. But what happened was, sometime in 2014, I used to pray, myself and 6 other guys in church, my assistant and a couple of other ministers. We used to pray from 12:30 in the night till about 1:30. It was free airtime, it was free credit. So some of us would pray on MTN, join ourselves, so we just pray. And one of those nights when we're praying, I just got this flash, kind of like, my friend, start to prepare to wind up. Now this was 2014, wow. So I saw myself just kind of outside. So when that happened, I started to think about it. I started to pray about it. I bought a book. There was a book called Next, about pastors who left, different stories of pastors who left, talked about transition. I read the book. So 2014, I told my wife, she wasn't sure. But one thing everybody in church knew was that I always told them, I am not a pastor. I'm just inside the office. When it's time, I used to tell them, in fact, my wife told me to stop telling them because I used to tell them almost every Sunday. Wow. But even though I wasn't a pastor, even though I did the work probably more than 100%,
I was there.
Sorry?
I saw the things that God allowed you to do. Yeah.
Yeah. So we did that. We did that to the max. So anyway, I think 2015, I approached my provincial pastor and I told her and I said, look, this is what I wanted to do. No, I didn't have the bonus to tell. I think I sent her a letter, that this is what I wanted to do. So anyway, for like 2 months, he didn't even talk to me. He just
wow.
He just put me aside. Because the truth of the matter, there was no reason for me to do that. I mean, when you look at church, when you look at church from the outside, the church was doing well. I mean, in terms of numbers, the church, all the indices were right. I mean, it's a place where anybody will want to come to. I mean, we had just finished building our children's facility. We had just remodeled. Yes, we had just remodeled our church. I mean, it was, so everybody would just feel like, this is the time to coast. So after a while, we spoke after 2 months. She kind of convinced me, okay, stay on, this. Anyway, so that was 2015. By the end of 2016 2015 to 2016, 2016 into 2017, we went UK over Christmas. And it was also strong that I knew, no, this is it. Time is up. Wow. So I sent her an email. It took me like 3 months to write the letter to my provincial pastor. Wow. Sent her a long mail. And I said, look, I just have to do this. So again, she didn't answer me immediately until one day I cornered her in June. So I said to her, look, what's it about? She now said, okay, fine. She agreed. Because one of the things I also wanted to hand over to my assistant. So this was June 2017. She agreed. Wow. So what I decided was that I would stay in transition with my assistant till February 2018. Which was what I did. So February 2018,
Time. The one strong thing, Pastor, and I really wanted to talk about worship. We have to do part 2. So you have to agree on the air now.
No problem. I've enjoyed it. It's been great.
Pastor, purpose is so strong. And many of us have not yielded to purpose.
Right.
I'm going to speak to you outside of this. There's just so many things that has come out of this. And I just feel strongly, a very strong connection here that there are many of us that are not yielding to purpose.
Right.
And Pastor, I mean, there's still so much to do with this compelling story.
Yeah.
Many of us are not yielding to purpose.
Mm.
And there is assignment and there is purpose.
Absolutely.
And you kept on holding on to purpose. Whereas you were similarly serving people on assignment.
Right.
So really, purpose is greater than that, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And all through that period, I mean, you would go there, you would share the word, you left no stone unturned, but speaking.
Yeah, I mean, I one of the things I learned, at the end, maybe like 1 year to the end of my tenure as pastor, is it was a quote by Oswald Chambers. And the sum total of that was that, look, God does not reject volunteers. that's what it, And he said, there's this quote, he said, look, in Isaiah where God was saying, who will go for us?
Who will go?
He said, look, that question was not directed specifically to any man. Actually, the Godhead, they were having a discussion, who will go for us? Isaiah only happened to hear it.
Wow.
So that look, who will go for us? If you don't hear, it's all about the condition of your ears. Because there's some prayer, we have our own prayer points, God do this for me, God do this for me. But see, I always tell people, God himself has prayer points. And one of the prayer points that God has, he said, look, the harvest is plenteous, but the laborers are few. Pray ye the Lord of the harvest. That's a prayer point from God.
Wow. That's a mic drop statement. We just drop the mic.
If God is giving you a prayer point, that's the easiest prayer to answer. I don't even get what I mean. So those are one of the most crucial prayers to pray. Now and always.
God.
Yeah.
Praise God. Any regrets?
Well, I mean, somebody asked me, after pastoring that, how do I feel? Honestly, I thought I was going to miss it. I don't even miss it one day.
Pastor, I just wrote a title of I don't know if it's a title of a sermon, but I just wrote it and I feel that, wow, this is good. The peace of purpose. There's a peace that comes with purpose, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
I just wrote it down on my note and I put a star to it, as in, wow.
Absolutely. Because the thing that purpose does is that, you don't see the full picture of what God wants to do. But every time you accomplish one thing, before you finish that thing, you're already shown the next thing to do.
Wow.
That's the way it is.
Wow.
So really, there's really no dull moments. There's really no dull moments. Yeah.
So how has it been the last 2 years? What have you been up to?
I mean, the last 2 years, of course, you can see with the benefit concerts that we've been doing, the Green Worship. I've been running also these mentoring events for young people, which, of course, because of COVID, we can't run it in that way, but we're going to push them online, where we have about 50, 60 mentors in the room with over 500 young people.
Wow.
So we've done that. I've done that in Lagos. I've done that in Calabar.
Wow.
And these are life transforming events.
Wow.
Also, run events, conferences for pastors. The good thing that the experience I've had as a pastor is that now, if I was just a worship leader and I just came to talk to a pastor, they look at you like, my friend, go and sit down. Well, at least I'm a pastor, so at least you can, so I've had the opportunity to sit down with pastors and, just share things, how you can be more creative I mean, one of the things I love about you is, the creativity that you put into this. Sometimes creativity, a lot of people think that creativity is expensive. And I've seen one of the things that I share with you, sometimes, you see one thing, you probably think you spent £2,000 on it. Meanwhile, you and I know how much you spent, so those are the kind of things I like. I just like to help pastors to just let them know that, look, this thing is not impossible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm going to ask folks to give us another 5 minutes for us to wrap this up for today.
Yep.
Pastor, you're definitely having another episode on seasons, because I really believe that you have a strong message regarding purpose. And I sincerely, with several convictions that I have, I believe that purpose is one of them, really high up there. Because if
Absolutely.
you know what your purpose is, and if you don't walk in it, one is just walking through the earth. So that
Right.
is one amazing. That is one thing I would still like us to do a whole episode on, about purpose.
Not a problem.
Find what your purpose is, how your purpose speaks to you, how you respond to your purpose as against the weight of the things that you are accustomed to. So that you'll be amazed that I've just been writing and writing and writing. Trust me. And I want us to please do another episode on that, to just
not a problem, sir.
get to speak to people about purpose. Pastor,
Not a
before you
problem,
go, I would like to, just you say something about. I know you are very into charitable works. Since I've known you, there has been is it worship for
change?
There was years ago it was worship, and you used to.
There's worship for change. Now we have green worship
for change. Exactly, worship for change.
Yeah.
And then there's been green worship and different other initiatives. Amazing. There are people that are listening to us. Maybe some from Nigeria, maybe some in the diaspora, and more so even beyond the people watching now. I know there are going to be volumes that will watch later. So someone wants to yield to charity. What would you say has your experience been? And some people, they want to give, they live abroad, and they are skeptical. Don't know what will happen, blah blah blah, and all that. So, I know you also have some amazing stories with the charitable stuff, and it's just amazing. And we can't appreciate you enough. I know there are several beneficiaries. And my heart is willing to work, into charity. I have a foundation myself, and Abby, that we have in Nigeria. So my heart really needs to you in that realm as well. So please tell us, just a summary of what you do, in terms of your charitable works.
Right. Okay. I think it was 2006. The thing about doing music is, you keep pushing yourself. You want to write the next hit song. You want to become famous, and the truth of the matter is that fame has its own. Fame is good, but fame could have its own problems as well. But so I got to a point. I believe God asked me a question, just with a thought. Do you want more fame for yourself, or do you want to leverage on the fame that you already have to benefit others?
Wow.
And I chose the latter. And that's how Worship for Change started.
Wow.
So the idea was, how could we, help people? Now, it was interesting in 2006 when we approached I remember a particular charity NGO, because we decided to focus on children with special needs, orphans, and indigent children. So I remember us walking up to a particular charity, and they were just suspicious, because a whole lot of people, for instance, had done those kind of initiatives for them, and they would organize the concerts, raise money, and they would never give them the money. They would just dupe them and just walk away with the money that was raised. So I remember, if I can mention them, Hearts of Gold Hospice there in Surulere, Mrs. Akreli, I think she was just like, please, I'm not. She struggled to come for the event. So at that event, 2006, we had a concert for her, for that charity. I think we raised about 750,000.
Wow.
So
then.
Then. So we went on and on, and the last one that we did, in fact, there was something that happened this last year that just brought me to tears. So after last year, 2 years ago, we had Green Worship. We did a recording, and then we sold CDs from the recording. And I think we raised, so far we raised about 4 million naira. So we gave 800,000 naira to 5 different charities, leprosy mission. I know. Now, I looked at those amounts and I'm like, I was embarrassed, because I just thought, look, what is 800,000 naira? It's not even up to my daughter's school fees. I just felt so embarrassed. Wow. Now, leprosy mission did a report, sent us a video report on how that 800,000 naira was expended on a school in Niger State. You know, how they used that 800,000 naira to buy uniforms, buy backpacks, buy exercise books, buy socks and shoes. I mean, for probably over 100 kids. You know, and when they showed me the reports, they sent us a video report. You know, honestly, Pastor Chris, I just started crying. I mean, not that, you know, when I cried, I wept.
That's what you must say when you're done.
No, I'll send you the link. I'll send you the link. I'll send you a link to the video. You know, I just looked at it, I said, 800,000 naira. This is what, I mean, so what would happen if these guys got 10 million naira?
10 million. Wow.
You know, so, because sometimes, you know, we give these people like 1 million naira, 2 million naira, and you think it's nothing, and sometimes they just break out and they just start crying. And you know, so that's it. That's what
well done.
that's what I mean, I don't know.
Thank you so much, Pastor. It's been amazing having you on Seasons. Left to me, we just go on and on and on. It's never a dull moment. I mean,
thank God.
The depth, I just thank God for you. I just thank God for your life. Thank God for work you are doing, and much more. I just love the part of you that is given. You know, it's an amazing part of you that I've known, that I pray God preserves our life, to be really part of the great things that you are doing. And I know that the best is yet to come.
Amen.
Right. God bless you, Pastor. Can we let Pastor Wale go without even giving us a few seconds a cappella? The song of this moment. It wasn't.
All right.
It wasn't preparing for it.
It wasn't.
It wasn't.
All right.
I do this all the time. He will come to church after he has finished his. I'll say, Pastor, there's still one song. One song. You know,
all right.
Ever gracious. Ever gracious. Ever gracious. This is one great.
All right.
Okay. Please help me to love on activities, love on everything that Pastor Wale does. This is one Christian. Wow. God bless you.
All right, let's do this. Jesus, Jesus, it is with much pleasure that I praise your name. Jesus, Jesus, it is with much pleasure that I praise your name.
The birds.
The birds of the air, they sing unto you. The trees of the field, they clap their hands. The hills and the mountains burst into song. So why shouldn't I praise your name? Jesus, Jesus. It is with much pleasure that I praise your name. Jesus, Jesus. It is with much pleasure that I praise your name.
Woo! God bless you, bless you, bless you, bless you, Regal Pastor. Such a joy. I can't thank you enough. Thank you for being a blessing all the time.
Thank God.
You've been a brother. You've been a brother, a friend, a true man of God. If someone wants someone to just link up with and to knit with, I just appreciate God for you, Pastor Wale Adenuga. I say it now for the world to hear. I'm grateful to God for you. Thank you so much, Pastor, for gracing us with your depth and with the gifts that God has given unto you. May God Almighty continue His marvelous works in your life.
Amen.
The world has not seen you yet. I believe God Almighty that you are just about to step into a season like never before. Your gifts, your talent, your heart. Even to this generation, and God will preserve you to generations to come in the name of God. Thank you, sir, for being a blessing and for yielding of yourself to our generation. Thank you, and God
bless
you, sir. So, people of God,
it's good, Pastor Abi, for me.
There you have it. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. You can still share this with your friends and family. We'll still keep it up for a while. There's so much that you can glean from what Pastor shared with us this evening, and I'll let you know when Pastor is going to be coming for a second appearance. We still have so much to pick up from this great man of God. God bless you all. Have a wonderful evening, and keep safe. Keeping safe. And God Almighty will take us beyond this season in the name of Jesus. The God that has preserved
Amen.
us will continue to preserve us in Jesus' name. Take good care of yourself. Have a good night. Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you.
As to the family, God bless you, sir.
Yeah, and to yours as well.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Right.